Now, ophthalmologist, what a fishing rod is to a fisherman. It allows us to fish for accurate information from the eye. Actually, it's a misnomer because slit is only one of the diaphragmatic openings there. So it is actually a slit lamp, a misnomer when we say slit lamp. So like I said, all other areas of torchlight examination and loop examination, we are essentially now seeing all our patients on the slit lamp. So what does the slit lamp give us? The slit lamp gives us a magnified cross-sectional view which is binocular. So the major advantage is the binocular view. Helps us to examine transparent structures, and we can at the same time do quantitative measurements such as intraocular pressure measurement. We can measure the pupil size, the disc size, the size of opacities. We know the anterior chamber depth. At the same time, it also gives us a qualitative evaluation. That is, we can even measure the relative depth. So if you look at the quick history, it was Demeter in 1863 way back who developed the portable ophthalmoscope with a monocular microscope. Then Albert and Grimmel in 1891 developed the binocular microscope with a stereoscopic view. But the credit of this oblique illumination slit lamp examination goes to Gullstrand, who in 1911 introduced the illumination system which had for the first time a slit diaphragm in it. And that was where things changed. Then, of course, there were further milestones. In 1925, Maus introduced the term biomicroscopy, defined it as an examination of the living eye by means of corneal microscope and a slit lamp. Lippmann in 1950 incorporated the rotatory magnification system based on the principle of the Galilean telescope. So we are going to see all this today. So what are the parts of a slit lamp? When we talk about slit lamp, we are essentially dealing with four systems based on a composite mechanical arena. So it's the observation system of the microscope, the magnification system, the illumination system, and the mechanical system. So what is the observation system? The observation system is a compound microscope where there is an objective and an eyepiece. Object which is of 22 diopters and an eyepiece of 10 diopters. It has a long working distance, and there is presence of a pair of prisms to re-invert the image, because we essentially have positive lenses, so we need prisms to invert the image. Then we come to the magnification system. Now this is a lot of this technical stuff here, but we'll try and make it as simple as possible. So the magnification system are of two types. There is one called as a Zaffisi scope with rotating objective, which is the older version. There are different objectives placed on a turret type of arrangement that allows them to be fairly rapidly changed during the examination. So your Hart Street models, the Bosch-Law model and the Thorpe models have this kind of a magnification system. And then came the Galilean telescopic principle. Here the magnification changer sits neatly between the objective and the eyepiece. It allows for more magnification steps. So there are 5 magnification steps on this turret arrangement. It utilizes the Galilean telescope with positive and negative lenses to alter the magnification. So the Zeiss, the Rodenstock, the American optical slit lamps, these have the Lippmann Galilean telescope principle. Then we look at the illumination system. So the illumination system, this is a lot of physics here, but the illumination system again is of two types. The polar illumination principle, which essentially works on the basis of eggshell illumination, purely eggshell illumination. So we'll not go into the details of this. Just remember it works on eggshell illumination, the polar system. But the Gullstrand's illumination system uses also mirrors. Besides the eggshell system, it uses also mirrors. Here the light source is essentially a halogen lamp, and it has a condenser lens system of plano-convex lenses, and finally a mirror there. That brings us to the last aspect of a slit lamp. There is a mechanical system. So all the mechanical systems in a slit lamp are essentially the joystick arrangement and at the bottom of the slit lamp, which helps movements of the microscope and the illumination system towards and away from the patient and also side to side. Then the up and down arrangement, which is again on the joystick, and it uses to rotate the top part of the joystick via a screw device. Then there is a patient support system for vertically movable chin rest and an adjustable table height. So these are both to adjust the patient level as well as for the examiner to be as ergonomically doing a slit lamp examination as possible. And finally there is fixation target, which can be moved in X, Y and Z axis for the patient to fix on. There are filters, there is a white filter, there are cobalt, there is green, red free, diffuse filters for various different types of examinations. There is a projection lens, it forms the image of the slit at the eye. Its small diameter helps reduce aberrations and increases the depth of focus of the slit lamp. And finally, there are some slit lamps, not all of them have reflecting mirrors and prisms. So the mechanical system, the very important part over here for the slit lamp, how the quality of various slit lamp differs is how good the mechanical system is coupled. So the mechanical coupling of the microscope and the illumination system has to be good, because that allows the focusing at the same point as the illumination and the examination system. So the co-pivotal relationship between these two systems is very important for a slit lamp to be good and efficient. So how do you start? When preparing the patient for examination is important. So before you start, of course, you introduce yourself, explain the procedure to the patient. If the patient is doing it for the first time, sometimes a bright light can be really startling to the patient. Seat the patient comfortably. Again, seat yourself comfortably. Never stand and examine. That can cause sometimes severe neck ache and can be really bad. Adjust the seat height, the table height. Ask the patient to rest against the chin and the forehead rest. Nowadays, in fact, there are these disposable tissue papers for chin, and because after an examination, sometimes the chin can get soiled, the chin rest can get soiled because of sweat at times. So that's why there are disposable papers which have to be removed every time you're doing an examination. This is how you seat the patient. Remember, the forehead also has to be in contact over here. If the forehead is not in contact, then you will be trying to push the slit lamp forward but will not get a focus. So these are the various parts of a slit lamp, a heart strike type illumination, the various parts of a slit lamp over here. We'll in brief try and see each one of them as the presentation goes ahead. There is a filter and aperture out here. It's an open aperture. There's a heat absorption screen in some slit lamps. It's a plastic screen, which is a heat absorption screen. There are grey filters in which filters about 10% of the light. There is a red-free filter, and there is an empty space for accommodating an additional filter also in some slit lamps. The Zeiss type illumination is from below. So again, the type of illumination differs. Now this is a illumination from below. There are some which have a turret on the top itself. This is again an illumination from below. These are the various parts of this CSO slit lamp. The eyepiece, you can see there's an eyepiece here. Now it's very important that you adjust the eyepiece. Both the eyepiece should ideally be equal when you're doing it. Many times what happens is if someone has been examining before you, one is on 0 and the other is on +2. And then you're not able to get a good binocular view and you're wondering why is that happening. So make sure that the eyepiece is adjusted properly. Also important is the interpupillary distance of every person differs of an examiner. So make sure that the interpupillary distance is adjusted. Again, if that's not adjusted, then you yourself will have diplopia and you will not get a binocular view. The magnification wheel is here on the side, so that to have your various steps of magnification. So every time you rotate this wheel, depending on the numbers here, you get that much amount of magnification. Then there is a filter selector. So some slit lamps have a wheel like this, some of them have a knob. When that knob is rotated, you either get different filters, that is just the plain, a clear image, or a blue filter, or a red free filter, an amber filter. Say if you're doing an applanation tonometry, you put fluorescent, you need a cobalt blue filter. So there's a choice of the filters in the slit lamp. You have the control lever out here. So when you turn the lever, you can raise and lower the instrument using this lever for focusing, and if you move it forward and backward and sideways, you can have your X and Y axis adjustments. And the stage can be used for bigger motions. There is a lock over here. It's very important that after you use the slit lamp, you lock it and so that it does not move. There is a rheostat out here which controls the amount of brightness. Remember, like I said before, to be kind to the patient and use only as much light as is needed for examination. There is a base locking and arm locking knobs. So this is the arm locking knob here and a base locking knob to lock both the entire mechanical system. The stage lock here is important when moving the slit lamp during patient setup. That is very important because at times what happens, the patient sits up, or suddenly gets up, and if you not lock the stage, then sometimes even the entire system can topple over. The slit width and height control you have here, the width of the slit and the height control. It's very important that when you start off with the slit lamp, the hand should go towards the slit width, because so as to adjust the slit width. There you have a chin rest which can move up and down depending on where you want the height of the head of the patient. You have a slit rotation ring. The dial turns the slit beam and is used in adjusting contact lens rotation if you're doing contact lens fitting. After you finish, remember important, once your slit lamp examination is done, dim the illumination, switch off the slit lamp and lock the slit lamp. So in summary, when you're doing a slit lamp examination, important is this is your eyepiece to look in. You have to move the joystick forward and backwards for adjustment. Turn it on and off once you're done. So it's not really rocket science, it's as simple as that, but it's very important to follow the instructions properly. So that's about it. Thank you.